Hey everyone, so I haven't done a fanfiction recommendations in a while, so I'm going to be doing my fanfiction recommendations 8. Whoa, that's a lot. So there's going to be a variety of lot of different Glee ships in this one as well, so I'm going to first start with Kurt and Sebastian fics because they've been my favorite lately, so yeah. Okay, Handle Me by Flip Me Forward, which is currently one of my favorite Kurtbastian fic writers. Blaine breaks up with Kurt because Blaine has a boy pussy. I don't know why I said that. Kurt is ashamed over his anatomy and finally settles for never finding someone who will love him completely. Cue Sebastian. This is not Blaine friendly, but it's not heavy. I was always reluctant to read this fic because of that, but it's really barely nothing. But it is really well written and I really enjoyed it. If My Heart Was a House by also Flip Me Forward, which is a work in progress. There's only one chapter right now, and I wish it would update, but it's taking forever, but you know, whatever. I'm really excited to read this though, because I am not the Notebook fan, but when I think of Kurt and Sebastian, I think of this is a perfect fic for them, like AU, so I'm really excited to continue it on once it updates. So this is The Notebook AU, where Kurt and Sebastian meet during the summer in between high school and college and fall head over heels in love with each other. They don't talk about what's going to happen in September, so who knows what's going to happen? I'm excited. Life in Technicolor by Hammers and Strings, also a work in progress, updates about every week consistently. Kurt is fresh off a Tony win when he faces his toughest role yet, PR boyfriend to Academy Award nominee and resident pain in the ass Sebastian Smythe. Downfall by Mel Blue, which is going to have 10 chapters, only has 2 right now, and I know this fic is going to be more amazing because this person also wrote It's Adult in Tradition, which is really good. So this is Seblaine right now, but eventually will be eventual Kurtbastian. The summary is kind of doesn't make sense to me because it's really nothing like it is so far, but I think it's a point of view of each Kurt, Blaine, and Sebastian. So Kurt leaves Blaine and Sebastian. He doesn't tell them he's going to do this. So I guess they're established. I don't remember much because I haven't read it in a while because it doesn't update very often. But it is Seblaine. Eventually Kurt and Sebastian must get together. We'll just have to see what happens. There's no title for this next one, but it's basically Kurt works in a vintage shop and Sebastian becomes a frequent customer by Discorded Rhythm. I just reread Don't You Remember, which is my favorite Kurtbastian fix. Go reread it, and I know it hasn't updated in like 8 months or something, I don't know, but the author said they were going to update it. So here's to hoping. So this is really good and sweet and simple, and I always enjoy her writing. The Best Approach to Being True by Artist, sorry. Another one of my favorite Kurtbastian fic writers. It isn't until Sebastian loses Kurt that he realizes he never really had him in the first place. And her fics are always long. Like, even if they're one chapter, they're really long. And no, Kurt does not die. It just sounds really gloom in the summary. Tear Down My Reason by Blackbird Fly, so another really great fic writer. It also only has 2 parts. Following the soul-crushing agony that Blaine's admission brought into Kurt's life, he drifts into something even more dangerous than the sadness that has been consuming him. He finds himself numb to everything and everyone around him, existing in a mere shell of the person that he had so very frequently been. Desperate for a way to feel, Kurt finds himself reaching out to one person he probably shouldn't because he knows Sebastian can give him what he needs. What he finds isn't what he is expecting, but what in his life lately has been. I think it's Friends and Benefits, Kurtbastian, they're fine with it, but then I think Kurt starts to feel more and he doesn't know if he should ruin that. I haven't read it in a while, but I know it's really well written. It's just been a while, but it's really good. These Distances, also by Artist, is a work in progress. The author said they're going to update every week, so it's going to be consistent. In the years Kurt and Sebastian has last saw each other, that didn't make any sense. Sorry. In the years since Kurt and Sebastian last saw each other at regionals in 2012 and their lives have taken very different paths, Sebastian's a single dad and a soap opera star living in LA, and Kurt's living with his parents in Lima after struggling to make ends meet in New York. When their loneliness leads them both to finding the online fandom of a television show they love, their lives become intertwined in a way they never of them anticipated. So it's really different because I never would think Sebastian would be like a single dad and they meet online and this kind of weird, different story of how they meet and come to be. I really go and enjoy this. So also, I didn't mean to put the next one, but it also is an online relationship thing. Also, I recommend this a long time ago and it finally completed with 7 chapters called Strangers by A Made Up Love. Kurt and Sebastian start talking through an online chat room, not realizing it's the other. They develop a friendship that starts to lead into more, at which point Kurt has to decide what he's going to do with Blaine. So it kind of is infidelity, but I think Kurt and Blaine are on the rocks, and this was the fic that really made me really ship Kurtbastian, the idea of it. So it is really well written, and I definitely think you should read it if you haven't noticed that it never completed and it finally did. Distance by Artist. This is 7 parts, like 7 drabbles in a series. Feature series compliant with canon of the end of season 3. Sebastian and Kurt fall into an unexpected friendship during their college years. These are all the stories from various points in their life from college on. So they become friends, probably sleep with each other, I can't remember, and then they fall in love and blah blah blah, go on from that. It's really well written. Closeted by Love. 3 is Six Love, who also wrote one of my favorite Seblaine fics, so I knew this was going to be good. Closeted Sebastian, what did I say, like Sebastian, who has literally gets knocked into a closet with Kurt by Blaine and Santana. This does have Klaine friendship, so which I do enjoy, and these are like all my favorite people, so hey. Out on the Town by Grant Lustin, which is a work in progress. Sebastian and Kurt were childhood friends and next-door neighbors. That is until Sebastian is shipped off to a boarding school in Paris. 6 years later, Kurt is happy and settled at Dalton when a familiar face waltzes into his AP French class. And I think it's like from season 2 kind of Dalton, where Kurt and Blaine are kind of sort of going to become a relationship, but not yet. And Blaine's kind of a Anyways, the next one is Seblaine, the only Seblaine fic that I have, but I didn't come across this. I came across it by accident, and I really am happy I did because I love fics that are based off movies. Like, those are my crack. Those are my kryptonite. So, Dirty Little Secret by Blaine Darling. It's going to have 9 chapters. It updates pretty frequently. Blaine Anderson might end up getting a little more than he bargained for when he decides to destroy Dalton star Sebastian Smythe, based off the plot of John Tucker Must Die with a few adjustments. So if you don't know what that is, go look it up. But Blaine is like the lead, and then Kurt is also in this fic as well as Nick and Jeff, who are the other Alliance members, and Kurt is the cheerleader from the movie. So there's a little bit Kurtbastian in there, but it's mainly Sebastian and Blaine. I don't know if it's going to be endgame, but it's funny and I enjoy it, and I really like the comparisons from the movie. So now on to the Klaine fics. So the first one is All the Other Ghosts Grey, which is the All the Other Ghosts sequel by Rainjoy, which if you haven't read the first whole fic of it, go read it right now before you start this one because you're really confused. Basically, it is Kurt has like superpowers, and he's like this really well-known superhero and called the Ghost in New York, and Blaine is like his #1 fan, and he follows this fandom, which we all see a part of that in the first fic. I don't think we're gonna see it in this sequel, so. But eventually Blaine and Kurt meet, and he sort of shows Blaine the way, and Blaine has this power that I don't know if he knew. I don't remember. That was kind of mixed up in the beginning, but eventually they become like this superhero team, and they're badass and awesome and fall in love, and the road from that and how they deal with it with their lives and how it becomes their lives. So it is really well written, one of the best fics ever in the Klaine fandom. I think you should definitely read it. A Letter to a GI by Darren, I don't know how to say that person's name, Keeper. This is 6 parts. There's 7 in the link I will give you. It must have 2 parts. I can't remember from. I think chapter 3 has 2 parts or something like that. There is an epilogue, but apparently it's not posted, and I don't know where it is, so hopefully I'll find it someday and I'll link it. So basically, cast opposite the successful actor and performer Blaine Anderson as a romantic lead in the historic drama. Kurt, a relative newcomer to the screen, has to learn how to navigate his relationship with his character and with his co-star. Apparently there was a letter in history from one of the wars where these 2 lovers fell in love, and they were GIs, and then they get separated from each other, and one never comes back home, and it's kind of based off that, where Kurt and Blaine are playing those 2 people. Apparently it is real, but we never knew what happened to them because it was such a long time ago. A Look That's Made for You by Canarian, who also wrote Walk the Line, another fic I really enjoy. This fic has 12 chapters. Blaine Anderson is about to turn 30, and if he has to design one more logo for another small, quaint, but, edgy, retro cupcake shop, he's going to fling himself off his 10-story office building. That is until an art director books a gorgeous male model who is just a few inches too short. I think Kurt's like a little bit bitchy, and he thinks he's all that in a bag of chips, and he's untouchable. I haven't read it in a while, but I'm pretty sure, but I remember really, really liking it when I read it. Bite Your Lip, Pull Me In by End of a Dream. Alternate meeting where Blaine is 40 and runs into Kurt, who is 19, on 5th Avenue. Another one of my favorites is Older Blaine, so I will link you to the very first part, and then I will link you to the tag itself from End of a Dream's Tumblr, which has different various drabbles and such off. Kind of like 20-Year-Old Lover by Seblaine, so kind of like that. When I Dance, 80s Klaine verse. I don't think there's a specific name for 80s verse. By When I Dance, or one with a fix on LiveJournal, one of my favorite Klaine fic authors. The first whatever piece to it is Children Behave, That's What They Say When We're Together. AU set in the 1980s, Dalton does not exist. Blaine transfers to McKinley, and Rachel and Kurt help him figure out who he really is, complete with a cheese-tastic soundtrack and a season 2 rewrite with all that in mind. This part has 2 parts and it's PG-13. The second piece, companion piece, sequel, is called Watch How You Play, They Don't Understand. This is from Kurt's point of view on the same events, so it's just, you know, from his side of the story. So it doesn't make sense if you don't read the first part, and there's a few extra scenes, so it's not like the same exact thing at all. It's not like, oh, we just read that, you know, it's fairly different and it's at a different pace. This part is also PG-13 with 2 parts. And Trying to Get You Away Into the Night. It is 1989, Dalton doesn't exist, Kurt and Blaine are the resident gay couple at McKinley, trying to pave a road out of Lima their senior year of high school, a series of vignettes set during the second half of Kurt and Blaine's senior year. This is a sequel to both of those fics before. This part is rated R and also has 2 parts. So this is written before, I think, season 3, so Blaine has a brother, but his name's not Cooper, and this is like what's going to happen when they go to college, so... Watch From Afar by Miss Busy, which is also, I don't know how to say their name, one of my favorite fic writers, smut fic writers, because they're so good. This fic is set post 414, the I Do episode. Blaine visits Kurt in New York, Adam walks in on them, and what I love about this fic is I don't like when they do fics like they hate on Adam, but this one isn't necessarily it. He catches them in the act and how loving they are and how their dynamic works and how good it is before, and he's like, am I reading this? What the potential they used to have? And you kind of just have to read it. It's really well written. Stripped Bare by Miss Busy. Also, these 2 are my favorites. I will link to this person's Tumblr of all their fics because I didn't put them all in, but these are my 2 favorites out of all the ones I've written. There's a lot. Really great ones. Blaine is married, 27-year-old businessman. Kurt, aka Porcelain, is a performing arts student who works as an erotic dancer to put himself through college. The last thing they expect is to find life in each other. And I think this is the one where Blaine is married to Rachel, so he's straight. Complicates more. So there is infidelity, but it is really well written. You feel so bad for Rachel. Come Take My Hand by Control of What I Do. This is Mpreg, which is Blaine is pregnant. I know this is weird, but I like this sometimes. Post 414, so I do fic. AU, where Blaine finds out he's pregnant instead of Rachel, and what happens after that, the effects of what he's gonna do, what's Kurt gonna do, what he's gonna find out, and how are they gonna raise this baby together. Really well written. There's only 1 chapter, but it's really long. A little bit of Feel Good by Let Me Say with 6 chapters. Kurt is not an animal person, Blaine is a vet, they dislike each other, or do they? So they kind of become like frenemies, and then what's going to happen after that? I really like it. I like that. It's kind of like Kurt and Sebastian where they kind of bicker at each other, but I don't know, it's really different Klaine fic, and I really liked it. Look, Don't Touch. Why did I say it like that? By Beautiful What's a Hurry, set 1 month after Mr. Shu and Emma's wedding, Santana and Kitty gather the gang for a Look, Don't Touch lingerie underwear party over spring break. Kurt and Blaine are back together in this verse, so let the person let you dream. They attend the party as each other's dates, and Kurt's possessive side takes matters into his own hands when he catches Tina's gaze lingering on for too long. This is kind of like public, what is that called? You know, like public sex or whatever, so, but it's really, really well written, and there's like, songs, you can follow along to it, really well written. An alternate ending, another fic by End of a Dream. Kurt is a freshman and Blaine is a senior, and they meet at Niata's annual masquerade ball. There's 3 parts to this from Blaine, Kurt, and Rachel's perspective. I will link to all of them. And the original posts, I think there's supposed to be 3 different, plus that one, I don't know, you'll have to see. Let Me Count the Ways by Luthinian82 with 1 chapter. I don't want to say that, sorry. Kurt's love life has been lukewarm at best in the last few years. Okay, let's be honest here, it hasn't been practically non-existent. Why he agreed to 12 blind dates set up by his girlfriends, he will never know, and always blame on too much alcohol. And it's really rather inconvenient when instead of falling in love with his dates, he's getting more and more interested in the bartender, which is Blaine. And I Still See You in My Dreams by QAF Fanatic. How far would you go for love? Kurt is about to find out. This is 1920s Klaine and Blaine is older. So yeah, it's like weird, different society. They have to keep secret, and Blaine has a very different, interesting past. Awkward First by End of a Dream. This is just a series of drabbles of early on Klaine and how they go from their sexual, time, how they build up to that. Awkward. It's awkward at first when you first get together and such. I just really love her writing so much. Trapped in Amber, Kurt is drifting through his senior year of high school. He bothers no one, and finally no one bothers him. In the 4 years since his mother's death, he and his father become strangers and living in the same house. So they're not like good, don't have a good friendship or relationship they usually do, or how it is on the show. So it's really different. Until one day, an overenthusiastic transfer student from some private school is asking him for direction. His father brings home the mother he wants of his once tormentor, so Carol. So Skank Kurt and New Kid Blaine, I guess. 5 times Kurt and Blaine have sex by Skin Tight Socks. And here's the summary. It's basically just what the dialogue in the fic is. We do still have the room for the rest of the night. It would be a shame to let it go to waste. I mean, we have so much to catch up on. Blaine lets his hand slide down further, squeezing quickly at Kurt's ass before he slides, then back up to his waist, as friends. So as friends of benefits kind of fic. Beast Won't Go to Sleep. It's a BP, so Boy Pussy Blaine, roommates Klaine, in AU where Kurt and Blaine are college roommates, and Blaine is very, very open about his rampant sex life and always wants Kurt to help him. There's also a second part I didn't know of, and I'm going to read it right away because this fic was really well written smut. Porn Star Blaine, the fic is called Lingering. There's 3 parts so far by Hey Blaine. Blaine is a porn star, and the other one is an adoring fan who meets them on the street. It's very interesting. Sinking, and I really like that Blaine is really confident as well. So the next one is Sinking Verse by Kurt Fuckmo, who's also a really great fic writer. Blaine is very much lost at his new school, but he meets someone that he could possibly help. However, he turns out to be much more than Blaine has bargained for, maybe too much. So it is Skank and also Deaf Kurt and New Kid football player Blaine. The Boy with the Laser Pointer, by Spooky Claire. Kurt isn't sure what he's gotten himself into when he sees an adorable boy across the way. He's certainly not his style. Kurt was a skank. He didn't associate with the bow tie wearing dorks, but somehow that smell drew Kurt in. And what is it about this blind boy that has Kurt letting his walls down? So Skank Kurt, blind Blaine. The important thing is now that you're naked and we're friends by Genuine Warming Decent Feeling. Post 414 I do fic. I have a lot of those. Kurt and Blaine become long-distance friends of benefits. Blaine keeps going to New York over and over again because they just want each other so bad. It's very funny. Swing Into Flight by When I Dance with 2 parts. At first, Blaine thinks it's crazy to play 3 shows in Ohio. Sure, it's his home state, but are Cincinnati, Columbus, and Cleveland all really necessary? It doesn't matter because in the end, Ohio is where Blaine spots him. The elusive boy who manages to avoid him almost entirely despite coming to all 3 concerts. This is like Diva Blaine, Diva is a female, with this little feather that's kind of inspired after that. Room 412, this is a work in progress by Darren's Weenus, which is a really great URL apparently. Kurt and Blaine are assigned to roommates at Niata. Over time, their friendship blooms into a complicated wingman situation chock full of benefits. I believe this is Bad Boy Blaine, I can't remember. It's been a while since I've read it, and I don't really read the updates quickly, but it is very well written. It's hard to follow because I don't follow this person on Tumblr, so. Love and Loaves by Celie Boothfan, with 7 chapters. Kurt and Blaine are enjoying their first visit in New York City and are looking for a cheap but delicious place to eat breakfast and lunch around their classes. When Rachel stumbles across hot cross buns, she feels like this could be the place and tries to convince Kurt. Apparently, all it takes is seeing a gorgeous boy who works there and convince Kurt that this is their place. I think this is older Blaine a little bit, and obviously he is a baker, so it's cute. It's like fluffy. It's like peachy or something. It's not anything extravagant. The Habits of a Broken Clock by Blast This Ass. Funny name. With 10 chapters, Kurt Hummel has a strange, inexplicable obsession with time, but he had never had imagined that such an insignificant thing as a pocket watch and a mysterious boy, the blue box, could change his life forever. This is Doctor Who Klaine, so if you don't really watch Doctor Who, you'll be kind of confused, but it is really good. It's on my list. One of my favorites is anything Glee related with Doctor Who. Vows by Imagine Entertain with 2 chapters. Blaine wakes up in Vegas with a hangover, a husband, and no memory of the night before. He's now facing a road trip, more questions than answers, and discovery of what it means to not only be himself but a husband. So like they don't know each other, but they might stay together. So also this was written in 2011, but Kurt's past boyfriend's name was Adam, which just freaks me out because I'm like, when was this written? So they always name Kurt's boyfriend Adam even before he was on the show. Always, there's a fic about it. So, quite a new thing, which is KLAINCHEL smut, which I know you might not be into, Klaine, Rachel, and Blaine smut, but it is interesting and I really liked it. Lavender_love 00. Yeah, like I said, it is Kurt, Blaine, and Rachel smut, but there is heavy Kurt and Blaine in it, not just, you know, Blaine and Rachel getting it on, or Kurt and Rachel getting it on, but all 3 of them together, and Rachel just basically keeps watching Kurt and Blaine or listening to Kurt and Blaine have sex, and she's lonely and horny and wants some loving. So, and eventually they let her do it, I guess, because they're experimenting. And the very last fic is Underneath Your Skin by Dizzy, a little Dizzy, who wrote this Trip and Stumble CRISSCOLFER verse. This is CRISSCOLFER, by the way. Chris and Darren. And Savvy Mabby. This has 6 chapters. Soon to be a high school graduate, Chris makes an unlikely connection over the internet. So Blaine is like this porn star, you know, where you can watch them getting off and not doing anything with anyone else. But yeah, so they kind of develop a relationship from that. It's very interesting. I think if you're into that, read it. It's pretty good. So I'm going to link to my favorite fic writers that have a lot of drabbles that I'm not going to link every single one because there's so many. Slightest Wind, Miss Busy, End of a Dream, Kurt Fuckmull, and Hey Blaine, as well as my regular fic tag, which I have so many smaller fics that I didn't want to link all of them because it was taking 40 minutes. So links to the description all below, and enjoy not only the Klaine stuff but Kurtbastian. Try something a little different because they're really well written and Kurtbastian is my heart. So I'll talk to you guys later and I'll see y'all for my next fic rec update.